He was an Athena Middle School counselor. If we could keep the Dorsey family in your thoughts and prayers, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, can I have someone move the agenda table, please? Moved by Mr. Butler, second by Ms. Flores. Is there any additions, deletions to the agenda? Mr. Bonagorio?
Yes, I would like to add an agenda item regarding school safety.
Specifically, what is it?
It is a motion to get the board's assessment that this board by public roll call vote at this meeting declares whether or not the strategic plan and the improvement plans, excuse me, are appropriate and sufficient for the superintendent to restore a safe environment in our schools.
All right, very good. Does anybody else have any additions or deletions to the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor of the agenda is amended? That passes 9-0. Very good. We'll add that as, where do I want to go with that? We will go with 10.01 for Mr. Bonagorio's addition. All right, moving on to union comments, GTA. Mr. Good evening. Welcome, Peter.
Good evening. My name is Peter Johnson, and I'm an E&L teacher at Brookside, but tonight I'm representing GTA in my role as our political action chair. As we do every year, we spoke with the candidates running for Board of Education seats. Our committee, comprised of GTA, AgSup, and GASA members, found the conversations informative and positive, and I would like to share some of our thinking around them with the community. We heard many similar themes from all the candidates: a desire to keep improving communication with the community, optimism for our new ELA curriculum, and a commitment to making sure our schools are safe places for teaching and learning for all. It was heartening to hear broad agreement in the work we need to continue doing. GTA has consistently taken the stance that working together to solve challenges is the best way to make progress. The effort over the last 2 years to build consensus around important topics such as the code of conduct and shared decision-making between district administration and GTA members demonstrates this commitment. We thank the board and district leadership for supporting this model of engagement and discussion. This type of collaboration between administration and teachers is the right approach. As employees in the district, we look to the board as representatives of the entire Greece community and appreciate all the work you do in your challenging volunteer positions. We hope you will continue listening to all voices in the community and make decisions that will benefit everyone. We hope you will continue supporting the positive work we are doing and help develop solutions for our challenges. There is greatness in Greece that should be loudly celebrated, and at the same time, the continued dedication to fix what needs fixing. We will be sharing our endorsements for Board of Education candidates through other avenues, so please be on the lookout for that information. Additionally, we will soon be announcing our GTA scholarships for seniors who will be going to college to pursue a career in teaching, as well as our GTA Golden Apple winner. These award recipients represent what is special about Greece right now, and with everyone working together in the future as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Next up for GASA, Mr. Lum. Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Brian Lum. I am the principal at Arcadia Middle School, and I am here tonight to share on behalf of GASA. Oops, sorry. What I wanted to do tonight was I talked with my colleagues, and we decided to share a little bit of the updates from around the district in the area of the community schools. As you see here, we actually have 10 schools right now in our district that incorporate the community schools model as part of our instructional day. We have 4 at the secondary, including Arcadia High School, Arcadia Middle School, Olympia, and Phoenix. And then you see there the elementary schools with Buckman Heights, Craig Hill, the Greece Community Early Learning Center, English Village, Long Ridge, and Holmes Roads. And what I did was I asked these principals to please share with me how the community schools model has helped improve your school in the areas of attendance, behavior, and academics, and also share with you all the wonderful things that we've been doing. So when we look at community schools, our goal is to actually expand academic opportunities and to partner with parents and community agencies. So as you will see throughout the slide presentation tonight, we have pictures of all of the wonderful things that our schools are doing in regards to partnership. But the one thing that's very interesting about community schools is when I worked with my colleagues and got information is there's a saying, if you've ever seen one community school, you've only seen one community school. And the reason why we say that is because each school is designed around the needs of the population it services. So what we do as a community school is we actually survey our families that attend our school and ask them, what are you looking for? And then we use that information and feedback to help create our plans and incorporate those into our school improvement plans. Throughout the year, there's lots of events that we put on. Our goal as a community school is to actually bring families in and help educate them, but also create a partnership with our families, because when families are connected, when kids are connected to the schools, attendance goes up, behaviors go down, and our academics improve. So here is just a smattering of some of the things that are coming up this month, in the month of May. At my own school, we'll have a 5 Go 6 night where our community schools will help bring in all of our incoming sixth graders to show them around. At Long Ridge, you're gonna see the Mom and Me event, but that's not just for moms, it's for any loved one in the family. The Glow Party at Craig Hill, while you might think it's fun and we're throwing glow sticks around, there's actually an academic portion to that helps draw kids into that. We have a special persons breakfast going on at Holmes Road. Pause is for English Village. And then we also have a combination of where a feeder school, English Village, Lakeshore, and Arcadia Middle School are actually going to spend their time at Red Wings together. So we're not only building communities within our own school, but we're also building it in our feeder school pattern. So English Village, Lakeshore, and Arcadia Middle School are a natural feeder pattern, so families can get used to what's happening as they progress throughout our district. Also, community schools has brought about a lot of club opportunities. We've always had sports and clubs at the secondary level, so really at the elementary level, this is something new. And this year with our community schools, we've added transportation on top of that. And to date, as of April 1st, all of our elementary community schools have provided over 121 clubs for kids to stay after school, which has serviced over 2,000 of our elementary kids in providing enrichment learning activities for our students. And then when I looked at attendance, and I asked them about attendance, you'll notice here that I had 3 elementary principals that say actually every quarter their attendance has improved this year since September. So their chronic absenteeism rate is going down and kids are coming to school more often. And then also I've noticed in my own school over the last 3 years since we've incorporated community schools, over the 3 years, my attendance has improved between the last 3 years. And then also, how does it impact our academics? Reading is definitely a big drive. It is the equalizer of equity. So when we look at our reading, and we know there's a big push to help improve that, currently some of our elementary schools have already made over a year's growth in their ERLA results. And then also, which is tied for among the highest in our elementary school population. Also, our ERLA assessments are up 31% from last June, which means more kids are closing the gap and getting closer to grade level. And then even with our iReady, which is another diagnostic that we complete, that is up 25% in improvement of kids moving from tier 3 to tier 2 or tier 2 to tier 1 just between the fall and the winter. And typically we want a whole year's growth, but that means they're making more than a year's growth in a shorter period of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Long. I don't have anybody from AgSept, correct? Nobody from Gus, and nobody from Teamsters. All right, Residents Forum. Where's my Residents Forum list? Here it is. Jessica Fowler. Mrs. Fowler, welcome to come down.
Hello, my name's Jessica Fowler. I have 3 kids in the district who are in 7th, 6th, and kindergarten, 2 of which have dyslexia and dysgraphia. A few weeks ago, I attended a viewing of The Right to Read. During the activity afterwards, it was unfortunate to learn that many of the colleges the district hires from are not rated well, according to the National Council on Teacher Quality, which evaluates elementary teacher preparation programs. The second one that I learned was that one study we read, the reading failure is most likely the cause, not just a correlation, for the frustration that can and does result in delinquent behavior. Some good news is my kids have made significant progress in reading. One even went up 2 grades in reading in just 8 months. This happened because his reading interventionist was allowed to take specialized training in addition to the 5-day OG training that for years I have argued was not enough. I have some questions and some suggestions. 1, are you speaking with local colleges, universities about their reading instruction preparation programs? Are you hiring from ones that perform better and expecting better results from the others? 2, reading teachers need extra training that is paid for and have the flexibility to take trainings outside the current one that is offered. In addition, if you're going to continue to use that site, pay for ongoing access to the online materials. 3, tell parents in high school and middle school their kids' reading levels. What is your plan on how you're going to get kids in older grades up to reading level? I just shared an example of how this can work. 4, I know that there's a lot of talk about behaviors that happen in school, but as I've already said, and research continues to show, is that reading scores are an indication of poor school behavior as children grow. We know that kids who can read do much better in life and have less of these issues. So as you try to figure out what to do, I will continue to say that getting these kids to read should be at the center of all discussions about behavior. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Fowler. Ms. Yoder, Amanda Yoder, come on down.
Hi, I'm here to share as a parent things that I have experienced with community schools. I am a community schools parent coordinator, but how it's impacted other parents around me and the stories that I have shared. I had a grateful single mom reach out to me recently and share that having her kids be able to have on-site therapy through Genesee Mental Health Services in school has been a lifesaver for her kids, dealing with divorce and extreme anxiety, a time in their life that could have been damaging to the students' well-being and their education was able to be saved. Genesee Mental Health is one of the many partnerships with community schools. Recently at break, Deanna Nix and I had taken upon ourselves to make break bags and meal bags for our families. I was able to connect with a father that I had continuously brought meals to. He came out, he helped me with the car, he told me the story of his wife not being there and how hard it has been for him and his kids, and that this food was going to get them through the week, and he was thankful for them to be fed during that time where they just wanted to go to school so they could have their basic needs met. Community schools is not a political agenda, but instead a force for good that actually helps teachers, staff, and students and their families. Teachers so that they can teach and students can learn without stress or worry. Community schools is a positive impact on our district, and which makes it a necessity for our children who need it and some that don't even realize at this point that they need it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Yoder. Ms. Levine, Leah Levine. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening. I am standing up here tonight as a concerned parent representing many other parents behind me in support of some change in our district. I am born and raised right here in Greece, a product of Greece Arcadia. Go Arcadia. But tonight I am here speaking about Olympia. I am not sure why we have such a disconnect of behaviors from elementary to middle school and high school. Maybe you have the answer. Maybe you blame it on hormones, low-income families, lack of parent involvement, or our community. You can blame it on whatever you want, but the fact is our children are at school to be educated and learning how to read, write, count, complete math problems, explore science and history. Your direct lack of responding to us parents that want to take action in our district has shifted this learning to assaults, violence, vaping, inappropriate clothing, bullying, and, well, even bomb threats. Now, I know firsthand that there are parents and kids that excel in this district, and kudos to those kids. Maybe they turn their cheek to locked bathrooms or disturbances in class. Those are a select few. On the opposite of that, it's the non-involved parent. Yes, we have those, but what can we do? What I'm representing tonight is the parents that see what is happening, that hear what is happening, and that fail to understand passing grades of our kids when we're getting emailed that the work is not being done. We are the parents that want to keep our kids in Olympia, but are disgusted at what is happening in this school. We can no longer just be listened to. We can no longer let the time pass. We can no longer go to work worrying about our kids' safety and their care that they're in when we leave them to you. We have great teachers and we're letting them go. We can no longer do that anymore. We parents tonight and from now on ask that you stop taking other people's words for it. You get in the schools and you not only listen to us, but you involved us actively. We ask that you turn your way of thinking to include us parents in the process and ask us to be active in helping make Olympia safe again. We want to have a successful learning environment for our children. We don't deserve to be brought down by a school with bad reputation when we are willing to work with you. If you want us to be better together, then serious change needs to take place. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Levine. All right, moving on to the 24-25 budget proposal public hearing. Superintendent Groutman.
Yes, so I'm actually not going to get up and present. We have a short video for you. We've been preparing a budget for the last several months. It was approved by the board on the 16th of April. So what we've done is we've put together a short summary video, and also want to make sure that people are aware of the materials that are online. We have our budget book, which can be reviewed and looked at literally line by line, as well as all of our presentations that we've prepared and presented up to this point are also available there. So we'll go ahead and share the video with you.
Hello, and thank you for taking the time to learn more about the Greece Central School District budget proposal for the 2024-25 school year. In Greece, registered school voters head to the polls on May 21st, where they will decide on a funding plan for the upcoming school year and a bus replacement proposition. Voters will also select 3 people to represent them on the Board of Education. Developing an educationally sound and fiscally responsible budget is a year-round process and a responsibility that we take very seriously. Our proposed budget is aligned with the REACH 2027 Greece Strategic Plan. Funding is focused on 3 key areas: igniting learning, cultivating trust, and expanding opportunity.
Let's take a closer look at how the budget invests in these district commitments. Supporting the academic, social, and emotional growth of all students is our #1 priority, and it's where we direct the majority of our tax dollars. The proposed budget supports high-quality curriculum and instruction and maintains all current programs and services. It also funds targeted reading and math intervention, invests in early learning, and maintains a wide range of course options for secondary students. To ensure every student feels supported, the budget proposal also maintains existing mental health and behavior intervention positions and programs.
At Greece Central, we believe that trust is the foundation of a strong educational community. We want every member of the community to feel welcome and valued. The proposed budget strongly supports initiatives aimed at attracting and retaining the most qualified staff members. We've also prioritized school safety by including a robust safety team and ongoing training for all staff. We believe strongly that families and community members are valuable partners in the educational process. We continue to expand our community school strategy and engage stakeholders in shared decision-making and two-way communication to ensure everyone feels seen and heard. By providing access to a wide range of educational resources, extracurricular activities, and support systems, Greece schools empower all students to reach their full potential. We've increased career and technical education programs, athletic and extracurricular offerings, and access to free summer programs. Our commitment to expand opportunity promotes individual growth and success and cultivates a more inclusive and dynamic learning environment. It's also important that the district operates efficiently. Each year, we evaluate our programs and services and identify efficiencies wherever possible. Approximately 75% of our budget funding goes towards the instructional program. Our budget proposal remains within the tax levy cap for the 14th consecutive year. By consistently staying within this cap, we demonstrate our commitment to fiscal responsibility and modest tax increases. The budget proposal totals $307,787,417 and represents a budget-to-budget increase of 5.86%. The tax levy increase of 2.55% is lower than the growth rate of the Consumer Price Index, which was 4.1% in 2023. In addition to deciding on the budget, voters will also be asked to decide on a proposition to purchase 10 replacement school buses for student transportation. Annual bus purchase propositions are part of the district's ongoing long-term plan to keep our bus fleet up to date and to stabilize taxpayer cost. Approval of this proposition would not affect the tax levy or the tax rate.
Voters will have the opportunity to select 3 candidates to represent them on the Board of Education. There are 6 people running for 3-year terms on the board: incumbents Tracy Farmer, Tammy Flores, and Sharita Treywick, and newcomers Tiana Johnson, Mary Like, and Jordan Stenzel. For more information about the candidates, you can visit greasecsd.org.
Now that you know what you'll be voting on, let's review where to vote on May 21st. All Greece Central School District residents vote at one location, the district's Transportation and Support Services Facility, located at 1790 Latta Road. Polls will be open from 6 a.m. until 9 p.m., and you must be a registered voter to cast a ballot. For the first time, all registered voters are also able to vote early by mail. Those who wish to vote by mail instead of going to the polls personally on May 21st must first complete an application available on the district website. Once the application is verified, you will be mailed an official ballot to complete and return. Thank you for taking the time to learn more about the budget proposal. If you need more information, please head to the district website, greasecsd.org. Education plays an important role in our community, so please remember to vote on May 21st.
Anything else?
The only thing I would add is if there's any questions on any of it, please feel free to reach out to myself, Romeo Khalili, or Superintendent Groutman. And also, budget books are available, and if you'd like to see the line item detail to the budget, you can go to the district website. It will be there, as well as if you prefer a hard copy or an email, we can get that to you as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clelly. All right, I'm going to call the public budget hearing to order. I have one speaker, Mr. Ray Holtz. Mr. Holtz? Pardon? Oh, okay. All right, well, thank you. Then I'll close the public budget hearing. Thank you for signing in. That was easy. All right, perfect. I like to hear it. All right, moving on to staffing. Can I have somebody move staffing to the table, please? Moved by Ms. Flores, seconded by Mr. Maloney. Any comments, questions, or concerns on staffing? Seeing none, all is in favor. That passes 9-0. Assistant Superintendent Larson.
Wonderful, thank you very much. Tonight, I am pleased to welcome our new Director of PE Health and Athletics, James Reeves. James attended Niagara University on a full basketball athletic scholarship where he earned a bachelor's degree in social sciences. After Niagara University, James played professional basketball for 10 years in Germany, Finland, Venezuela, Mexico, and the USA minor leagues, becoming a member of the Rochester Section 5 Basketball Hall of Fame. After retiring from basketball, James attended Roberts Wesleyan College, where he earned a master's degree in school counseling, and then attended Grand Canyon University, where he earned a master's degree in educational leadership and administration. During this time, James also began volunteering with the Greece Basketball Association and then opened up the Reeves Stewart Basketball Academy as a way to give back to the community. Through these organizations, James has been able to develop strong relationships with aspiring youth basketball players and their families that reside in Greece and all over Monroe County. James began his career in education as a school counselor at University Preparatory Charter School for Young Men, UPrep, in Rochester, New York, as a school counselor, and was later promoted to Director of Operations. James continued his leadership path in the Rochester City School District as an assistant principal at Rise Community Elementary School, Edison Career and Technical High School, and then with us at Long Range Elementary. For the past 2 years, James has served as the proud principal of Buckman Heights Elementary. The new role of Director of Athletics, Physical Education, and Health is a perfect opportunity for James to merge both of his passions of athletics and educational leadership. He is looking forward to partnering with school leadership to support overall school culture and climate, offering engaging and competitive athletic programming, support physical education and health teachers with quality instruction, collaborate with community-based youth sports programs to improve the development of student athletes, and help create an environment where students and families feel a sense of belonging. One of the most important things to James is family. His support system consists of his beautiful and supportive wife of 19 years, Janelle, his sons, Marcus, James, and Jamez Reeves, his brothers, Carlos and Kelvin, his father, Milton Reeves, who modeled hard work, and of course, his mother, Doretha Reeves, who instilled the importance of education at an early age. Congratulations, James, on your new role.
Mr. Reeves, I want you to tie your shoe first, because if you step and fall, that's a long way down.
You know what? He can't. He can't.
Oh, okay, all right. I just don't want you to fall. If you could do a picture with Superintendent Groutman, Deputy Superintendent Smallene, Christina Wozniak, and Mr. Lapani. I'm calling for help. We should actually be doing it in front of the big G.
I didn't think that Tony could look small.
Laurel, do you want to do it in front of the G? Why don't we do it in front of the G?
Could I sit on your chair?
No. Why don't you guys go around front and do it in front of the G? Around front, Jeremy. Yeah, around front.
Another one?
Something over there?
In front of the G. We're using the G, remember?
We'll get it to sign impression, it'll be good. Hold up sign impression, please.
Sorry, maybe watch more.
Jeremy calls the end spot.
In front of the G, in front of the G. I didn't realize this was so challenging. No more G's, we're all done with G's.
Congrats, Jim.
Yeah. All right, 3.02, non-unit rate staffing sheet for 24-25. Can I have somebody move that to the table, please? Moved by Ms. Farmer, second by Mr. Maloney. Any comments, questions, concerns on that? Seeing none, all's in favor? That passes 9-0. Moving on to 3.03, GTA additional FTE MOA. Can I have somebody move that? Moved by Vice President Laura, second by Ms. Flores. Any comments, questions, concerns on that? Seeing none, all's in favor? That passes 9-0. Moving on to 5.01, literacy update. Superintendent Groutman.
Yes, as you know, we have been presenting about literacy through this entire year. We've looked at different bands in terms of our early literacy from pre-K through second grade, and then we looked at our 3-5. What we're going to be doing tonight is sharing an update in terms of the work that we're doing, particularly to target grades 6 through 8. We have Suzanne Pettifer here, Jamie Wojtowicz here, and I know Dr. Payne to present to us this evening. So thanks so much for your work. Looking forward to hearing about the updates.
Well, good evening, everybody. I know we've been up in front of you a lot this year talking about literacy, which has been really, really exciting. So much synergy going on around literacy in Greece Central. Super excited about it. So as Superintendent Groutman said, this is part of a 5-part series for you. And just to bring everybody back to our commitment statement. So literacy being a priority area, and we really are anchoring this into the commitment around igniting learning. Specifically, we will adopt a curriculum that includes culturally authentic learning experiences that mirrors students' diverse identities and ways of understanding, communicating, demonstrating curiosity and knowledge. And if you are in any of our schools right now that are implementing our new ARC core, you will see this. Our students are on fire specifically about their writing and their learning. It's so exciting to see. So the focus area, it really is important to us that we're building the capacity of everybody, I mean, including our Board of Education, right? So that was the reason that Superintendent Groutman really wanted us to do this 5-part series, to be able to really inform all of you what we're doing specific to this initiative. And also, we're really working on building the capacity of our leaders. So this idea of that we're doing this learning together, we're having lots of collaboration, self-reflection, and feedback that as our building leaders become more adept at understanding everything that we're doing, they're going to be able to really give substantive feedback to teachers around what's happening in the classroom. So we're really excited about this. So again, this has been a part of a 5-part series, and I'm going to turn it over to Suzanne and Jamie to continue.
Okay, as stated, we are on part 4, and today we're going to focus on the middle school. So at the middle school level, we want to give you some updates because it hasn't followed the typical trajectory we thought it was going to follow. What we've been doing instead is really working through with American Reading Company how to best meet the needs of our students, and they've really been good at tailoring the program that we are going to be implementing in the fall exactly to our students' timeframes and opportunities that they have for learning. So it's been great. They've been very flexible. They've flown in multiple times to join us for our curriculum review cycle, and they've been working with our teachers and with Jamie and I to ensure that what we have is a good fit for us as a district. So as you can see in November, we started with the same sort of goals we had at the elementary level, and small group conferencing was a part of that. Each child had their own individual goal that they had based on the reading that they picked for themselves. So there was a lot of choice at the beginning of the year and a lot of opportunities for us to just get a handle on where our kids were. We started to do some levels accuracy confirmations, and what that just means is when we have kids who are kind of tricky, we're saying you know what, I read with the student, here's what I'm seeing, do you want to read with them, see if you're seeing the same thing, and then we kind of get some advice from each other and our district interventionists or from Jamie and I about moving children in the right direction and just making sure we're providing them with what they need. So we got conference schedules up and running, and then by the time we got into December, January, in speaking with our core and trying to meet our needs of our timeframes that we have for our students, we wanted to make sure that we were really spending our time in the right places. So how do you do that? I don't know if any of you have ever had to look at curriculum, but it's ginormous, and it's very difficult to typically fit it all in the little time frames that we have with kids. So we really wanted to lean into the research as well as the experts who were creating the curriculum to know where we should spend the bulk of our time. In these sessions, what we decided to do was move away from the constant assessment of students with these individual conferences and kind of look more globally at what they were doing and using just other different measures. For our students who were really struggling, we have other ways that we measure them consistently throughout the year using, right now we are using the reading inventory from HMH to do that 3 times a year. So February to May, though, it's been great because the company has come in. The teachers are learning about the new curriculum, the new way it's going to be delivered next year. We purchased the books ahead of time so that the teachers could get a feel for the books, and some of them are even dabbling in delivering some of that instruction right now with our students. So they're getting a feel for what's working, what's not working. And in our last week session, we had one of the authors of the curriculum right here with us really going through so that we had really good, right from what we're supposed to do, make sure we're not missing anything. All of our 6-8 teachers then will be training on this new resource on May 21st. So we have a cohort of teachers who have been implementing using kind of this transitional curriculum just to see how it would work. And we're going to retrain them in this new way. They're leaders. They're doing it right now as well. So we're really excited about the upcoming training that we have on May 21st with them. We've done a lot of planning with the company to make sure that it's tailored to meet all the needs of all of our teachers as well. So at the middle school level, similar to what we've done at the elementary level, we've had a lot of opportunities for the teachers to bring student work and just go through a protocol to analyze what our students' strengths are, what are some of the challenges our students are facing, and then for us to kind of determine plans going forward. thinking about how we can adjust our instruction, what other resources might we use or bring into the classroom. What we have also done is utilize the coaching visits to just discuss high leverage practices. So we go back to the science of reading, and Jamie's going to really get into this in upcoming slides, but we go back to the science of reading and the new briefs that have come out from the state. And we are ensuring that everything we're doing is aligned with that research, which is really, really important. They have helped us to unpack our units, Lab 2 and Lab 3 in particular, and we've also just helped them understand how we need their resource to be in line with that science of reading, as well as ensure that it's aligned with the New York State expectations based on the new literacy briefs that have come out. So I'm going to turn it over to Jamie so she can give you some more information about the briefs and how that looks in the curriculum.
So we have CRC meetings with our current implementers, our curriculum review committee meetings. And at the recent one, we went through the science of reading briefs. We went through specifically a close focus on 1, 2, 3, and 6. So 1 is the foundational, what is the science of reading? And then 2 is sort of some myths around the science of reading. 3 is the connection between reading and writing. And then 6 is, what does this look like in secondary? And so what we did after reading those is we looked at the ARC Core revised units for the next year, as Suzanne stated. We worked with the company to revise them to meet the specific needs of middle schoolers and the unique time frame that we have to provide direct explicit instruction to them. So what teachers did is they identified where some of the connections were to the science of reading briefs. And we noticed explicit vocabulary instruction, specifically around some morphology with the key content vocabulary words, the connection to writing to reading. And I'll just pause there to explain, this is what they call a writing forward curriculum. So we're starting with the writing in mind and where we want to go with the writing. And then you use the reading as sort of like a mentor text to help inform your writing. So those connections are really strong all throughout, and especially important as students move into high school as well, where they're going to be writing a lot more across their entire day. And then providing explicit instruction and feedback around writing, so writing conferences with small groups, and then opportunities for wide reading. So I do want to mention that just because this is focused on like writing first, there's still explicit focus with direct instruction around reading. So the secondary literacy briefs highlights where we should spend the majority of our time with our 7-12 students. So you can see here from this chart from the state that we want to spend a lot of our time on text-based discussion and writing opportunities, engagement with a variety of high-interest, diverse, and complex texts, and collaborative and culminating projects, performances, and celebrations. So that might look like publishing a story that you wrote, your own myth, or it might be like an author circle where students are sharing what they learned about their reading or their writing. We're still focusing on word study skill building. At the secondary level, it's going to look a lot more like decoding multisyllabic words, morphology, and using those words in our speaking and writing, and not as much on the early literacy skills, although we would still address that for students who are struggling or below grade level. And then in terms of like fostering understanding of print conventions and features, so if you think of like what a middle schooler might do, for example, in one of their units, they're studying myths, so they would study the features of a myth and the function of that in a story. So I'm just going to take you a little deeper into the first unit in 6th grade. So the learning targets are identify elements of a myth and analyze the way in which the author crafts various myths for a purpose. So those connect to both engagement with a variety of high-interest, diverse, and complex texts, as well as fostering understanding of conventions and features. It really connects to multiple ones. I was just trying to identify the ones that they most connected to. In regards to the diverse and complex texts, some of the myths are very high level, and then there's other myths that are a little bit more student-friendly. They have a core text that the teacher guides the students through, and then a variety of bins of texts around that topic so that students are increasing their volume of reading. In the next set of lessons, students are analyzing, specifically through close reading and discussion, the development of a theme across the myth. So one of the things that I really enjoyed working with the ARC core curriculum developers on when they just came last week is we had this rich conversation about how as texts become more sophisticated, we have to remind students that you're not going to have all the answers right at the beginning, that your inferences and your predictions about what you think is going to happen should evolve and grow the more that you read and the more you discuss. So it's sort of a ongoing process. So what kids think the theme might be in the beginning could possibly change as they continue to read and write and discuss. And then another series of lessons is around developing an argument through making a claim using literary analysis. So that's done through text-based discussion and writing opportunities. Lastly, students also create an original myth. So they've written and studied a myth, and now they're creating their own myth. And that's obviously attached to collaborating and culminating projects and celebrations. So I'm just going to briefly share with you, this is a snippet from the 8th grade instructional research framework. Students were studying Africa. So they read a variety of books or about Africa, facts, figures, and then students pick another country in which they can read and learn about. So what some of the students did in one of the classes is they come up with research questions, and then they either do a PowerPoint, or some students chose to publish their own books, and then they could read them in class electronically, share them with their families. And that concludes our presentation. If you have any questions.
Mr. Butler.
Thank you for the presentation. I think it's interesting to think about when I've thought about our core, I've been mainly focused on the really early years, so it's really interesting to think about the approaching and in middle school. I would assume that this age is when a lot of young people stop reading for pleasure. And I wonder if you have any expectations or any data around connecting or continuing that reading for pleasure after students have participated in a curriculum like this.
So we actually were just reading a lot of research about this in our last CRC about this idea of independent reading with kids, right? So is it fully independent if we still say you have to do it, right? So it's required choice reading, right? And so there will be opportunities through that in various ways. So one way will be for every topic that they're discussing, there's a wide range of materials related that kids take home and can read. And they also they don't have to just pick from those books. So the librarians will partner with us. There's also ARC Reads where they can get books online. In addition, we've worked in extra time for teachers to promote wide reading through student choice that can be beyond the topics. And they'll work those in, some schools will be maybe once every 2 weeks, and then other schools will have a little bit more time to do once a week. And what we have been encouraging teachers to do is have kids discuss the books, have book clubs around the books, and kind of move away from just tracking with a log, and really just using it as a way to have vibrant discussion in the classroom about what they're reading.
Do you have a question? Ms. Farmer?
Thank you, Mr. McCabe. So I'm wondering about the 8th grade. Is 8th grade world history or American history?
So there's some connections to the history concepts in social studies, but they're not always exactly aligned.
Sure, but is it world history?
Yes.
Okay, so that,
Yes.
I like how I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, I like how you kind of brought
I
it
can tell you
together.
my social studies teachers are loving this because their kids have been coming to their classes. I just actually met with them the other day. And one of the 7th grade teachers, theirs was around the American Revolution. And he's like, I do not know what your ELA teachers are doing, but my kids are coming in reciting facts, showing me all the books that they're reading. And they had a guest come in, and he actually wrote them a letter after and was like, I've never seen a class be this excited about the American Revolution. So it's really good, yeah.
Mr. Bonagario?
First, thank you again. I really, really, really appreciate the regular updates on this, and I got a double dose because I got to see it at the curriculum committee.
Yeah.
So really appreciate that. And what you're just talking about, that knowledge building, again, is just so critical because it builds on itself. Knowledge sticks to knowledge and helps kids develop that vocabulary and comprehension, so it's all really, really important. I want to go back to, it was a point on page 5 where you were talking about working with the curriculum providers. I just want to have a better understanding of what adjustments, why adjustments are needed. Is it because our students in one place relative to where the curriculum is, or, yeah, maybe just help me understand that.
So the ERLA assessment for K-5 takes quite a bit of time. And so we were trialing it to see, could we make this work in 6-8? But what we were finding is we were spending a lot of time assessing and less time providing direct explicit instruction. So what we worked with them on is if we use iReady next year as like our baseline and then use that for progress monitoring to help inform teachers. And of course, there will still be reading support for students who need extra intervention. Then we can spend more time actually writing, having writing conferences, more time reading and less time assessing. So it wasn't just specific to Greece, it was in general, them kind of finding out that the model that they were hoping to be able to recreate in middle school just wasn't really conducive to our class period times.
So the curriculum and iReady don't naturally integrate.
They actually are aligned. So what's interesting is the ERLA levels actually do align to iReady, so we'll be okay using those. I do want to point out, though, that when they're doing that wide reading and selecting, we're encouraging kids to try lots of different books so that we don't pigeonhole them in like one particular level in that particular instance, so.
And the other thing I would just add to that, Mark, because I know you and I have had conversations around the viability of a curriculum and can we deliver the curriculum in a way that gets through everything students need in that year. And that's another thing that they've been really helpful with, is helping us craft a curriculum that will better fit our timeframes that we have our students. Sometimes some high schools have 90-minute blocks. We don't have 90-minute blocks, right? So like all of that, like, and so when we go to make those adjustments, we did not want to adjust in ignorance. We wanted to know like the research behind and where should we make these adjustments smart.
Dr. Sherwood?
So a couple of things. First, I had an opportunity to also see this in action when I was over at visiting Longridge. And I was talking to the principal there about the K and or how they were rolling it out in their 2 grade levels. And I think it's so important to make what I like about the rollout is the fact that we have the support from the company itself. And one of the things that the teachers shared is that when there is a problem or they come across something that doesn't make sense or they can't use, they can send that feedback back to the company and then the company pivots. So I thought that was really good because it feels like it's not just, there are some places where curriculum is kind of just like tossed on you, right? Okay, here it is, figure it out. But here I see a lot of support, I see feedback. It feels like we're growing into it. And I know everyone hasn't been able to sample it, all the teachers, and next year is like the big rollout. But what I do like is that if teachers want to push in to the classes that are trying it, you guys are giving those opportunities early. So it kind of heads off any, some of the apprehension that might, be there for teachers. But I do have a question. I'm getting to something. So those were the kudos. Those were the flowers. Okay. So my question is, as we think about how we're engaging our older students in reading, and you talked about the variety of texts that are available, are there opportunities for students to seek their own texts out? Mm-hmm. And I say that because, having now taught at the college level, one of the things that, we have found as, academic professors is that when we have texts that students can't relate to, they they read but they can't speak to, they can't write to, then they cannot understand the subject matter, right? It's hard to teach. And so by allowing them to bring in their own supplemental texts and have those approved and have this list, it's been helpful. So my question to you is, at the secondary level, are we encouraging students to look for their own resources that might speak to that?
Well, first, I just want to say I really appreciate you like specifically talking about older readers, because they are different, right? Like, engagement is a thing, and if you think about like the active view of reading, kids' motivation and wanting to do it, they're just not going to do it. They're not going to read compliantly, right? Like, we've got to get them excited about it. And so a couple things though. So on the one hand, we want the knowledge building curriculum so that they read very deeply about a particular topic, and also have some space and room for, let's say we're in mythology, and they're like, I'm just not feeling any of these books that are in here. We should definitely be encouraging them to find their own, bring in their own, connect with the librarian. We should be helping them. And then in addition to those knowledge building topics, we built in time for additional like student choice, like book clubs around like YA novels that are on like our approved list. So that should help, like, that balance between sort of teacher-led and building knowledge, and then like a little bit of student choice. Does that answer the question? Okay.
Yes,
I just want
thank
to
you.
make sure.
And additionally, I just wanted to add on to your point about them being able to like have so many connections. That's really because we're intentional with our professional development. Each building is receiving 6 to 10 sessions, depending on how many people are in training, with the coach from the company to like let us know what it looks like. And it's been great to have them in because they work across the nation, and they can say, okay, well, this is how it worked in this district. Let's try this and see if that works better for you. So really have been intentional about the amount of professional development. We've never given teachers this level of professional development around reading either.
Mr. Bongario?
To follow up on that topic, you mentioned that history teachers, social studies teachers are thrilled. I'm wondering if literature teachers are thrilled as well. And in that context, yeah, it's great to be able to have choice, but are we also making sure that either that choice comes from a pool of, call it respected literature, or, classics?
So a couple of things. There's a balance between like fictional units, and so there's mythology in grade 6, and they also study, I'm losing it for a second. Let me think about this. I'm thinking of 7th grade, where they do westward expansion, poetry, and then there's a historical fiction book club. So there's a pretty good balance there. So it's not like, you can imagine with middle school kids, if they were doing all informational text, we might have a little anarchy, but then we want to give that choice. In terms of like, I think what you're asking is like when students choose and when we open that up, how do we allow for that, right? So I feel like if it's within the topic that's kind of closed, right? So if it's mythology, there's going to be only so many mythology texts to pull from, and they would typically get them from our library or from our recommendations. If we were doing, let's say, a mini book club around like growing up or something like that, they would only be able to choose from any books that were approved on our book list or that were in our library. Does that answer?
I was really wondering more about, like, when I was in school, and that was a long time ago, there were kind of the classics that we had to read. And that the classics change, right? So.
Yeah, so definitely in high school, you'll still see a lot of the classics and things like that. But, I mean, I think it's a balance, right? Because we want kids to be able to relate to the characters and be able to connect. And so there's going to be contemporary novels that they might choose from. But definitely in high school, they're still pretty much sticking to more classics than you would probably maybe see a little bit more in middle school.
With that, thank you all very much. Oh, one more? Sure.
So the connection between reading and writing. I know research talks about the connection between actual handwriting, and it's not, the idea of muscle memory, it's not really muscle memory, it's the cognitive connections, and becomes part of fluency. And I know we're also in an environment that, we're into digital. So how are we dealing with that?
Yeah, so we have actually had this conversation for quite a while, and Tom and I always work on updating every year, like our expectations around handwriting along with typing. So at the youngest levels, our students initially learn right in kindergarten, right, just how to form their letters. By the time we get to second grade, we use a more formal program called Handwriting Without Tears. Nobody cries, I guess, right? We don't want anyone crying at school. Basically, we're using that same language as we're instructing students on how to form letters, and we use that all the way through second grade, and then it transitions into the cursive writing. Because the other thing that we wanted to make sure is that our students were also getting instructed into cursive, right? Because historical documents, right, they're on the assessments for the state assessments for high school, you need to be able to read cursive handwriting. So we are teaching that directly at the end of second grade through third grade, and additionally, if kids need more support. What we've done then, as we've created documents for our core in particular, because there's 4 different opportunities for students to demonstrate their understanding, we've encouraged not only electronic ways to do that, but also brochures. Kids are really creative in creating posters and all kinds of different things. And we've also tried to encourage not just printing, but also the cursive, depending on the age of the students. So it's all in there. And we actually just talked about it again with our scheduling committee. So all those updated, we just keep regularly revisiting to remind teachers that the importance of both.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions?
I have another question.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, I was just thinking about when my son was in middle school, well, maybe elementary school, early on, there wasn't really an emphasis on vocabulary, like spelling the words correctly. So has that changed at
Yes.
all? Like,
Yes.
it was more, get your ideas out, and, he would produce this piece of writing
Yeah.
that had all this misspelling, but the teacher would be like, this is great.
Yeah.
The content is wonderful. And we'd be like, but all these misspelled words.
Yes. So when we talk about that synergy between reading and writing, what we have done, and I'll use kindergarten as an example because it worked great with one of our kindergarten teams, it laid out the student writing, and we talked about where the kids, what their writing looked like on the scale for writing, developmental scale. And then we talked about what does the child's reading look like. So we are looking to see more intentionally now if the reading level is commensurate with the writing level. So if I'm reading a book, at a 2 blue level, I'll say, then I would expect the words at that level to be spelled correctly in the student's writing. And because this is a writing forward curriculum, like Jamie talked about, we're doing more analysis on student writing more intentionally, and we're having those conversations so that teachers are more aware. They're looking at the writing and saying, wow, this kid's reading up here, but look at their writing. So this is actually where I need to focus. I don't need to keep shoving them forward in reading until we get this writing under control. So there's more of a balance there between the reading and the writing also. Okay.
We're going to try this one more time.
Don't do
Does anybody have any more questions? All right, thank you all very much. All right, moving on to the extra classroom activities funds quarterly report. Can I have somebody move that to the table, please? Moved by Dr. Trewick, second by Mr. Butler. Any comments, questions, concerns on that? Seeing none, all is in favor? That passes 9-0. Moving on to the revised property tax report card adoption. Can I have somebody move that to the table, please? Moved by Vice President Moore, second by Ms. Farmer. Any comments, questions, concerns on that? Seeing none, all is in favor? That passes 9-0. Moving on to the emergency bus purchase. Can I have somebody move that to the table, please? Moved by Mr. Butler, second by Ms. Farmer. Any comments, questions, concerns on that? Ms. Flores? No? Mr. Bonnegorio?
Just a quick question. I know there's a reimbursement from insurance because of the accident. Does this offset or negatively impact our planned spending at all in any way? I should be looking this way. Okay, thank you.
Only by $7,700.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all is in favor? That passes 9-0. Moving on to the American Rescue Plan ARP approval. Can I have somebody move that to the table, please? Moved by Mr. Maloney, second by Ms. Farmer. Any comments, questions, concerns on this? Ms. Farah?
Just a quick question. I see that we're doing $2 million expenditure here on the American Rescue Program. This is going to be the replacements of the chiller units that will improve air quality and regulate air temperature. Is there any problem with what we currently have going? That we need to spend an extra $2 million? Is it broke or?
So the chiller at Athena is scheduled in the Reimagine Greece project to be replaced. So it's already in the capital project based on a building condition survey from a few years ago. We are looking to have authorization to do it under ARP. And if we can get the work done, we will move those expenses from Reimagine Greece to ARP, which will then give us $2 million more in Reimagine Greece to get some other work done that we've had to cut out of the scope. If we can't get this work done, then the chiller work will remain within Reimagine Greece.
Okay,
So
thank you.
the need's already there and been identified back in 2018 when we approved the Reimagine Greece.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Are you a yes or no, Megan? Okay, that passes 9-0. Moving on to anticipated bids. Does anybody have any questions on anticipated bids? It's written information only. Budget revenue status report as of March 31st, as written information only. Anybody have any questions on that? All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Can I sign move the consent agenda table, please? Moved by Ms. Farmer, second by Ms. Flores. Any comments, questions, or concerns on the consent agenda? I would just like to thank, let me get there for a second here. I would just like to thank the Greece Education Foundation for their $6,000 worth of donations to various schools across the district. I'd also like to thank the Extra Classroom Activities Funds for their donations for various things across the district at the different schools. And I'd like to thank Ken and Molly Traub for the donation they made to the district to be where it is needed to be used. So thank you to all those that donated. With that, all those in favor? That passes 9-0. Moving on to item 10.01. Can I so move the following to the table, please? Be it resolved, the Board of Education of the Greece Central School District by roll call vote at this meeting will declare whether or not the strategic plan and the improvement plans are appropriate and sufficient for the superintendent to restore a safe environment in our schools. Moved by Mr. Bonnegorio. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Farah. Comments, questions, or concerns? I have two clarification questions. On improvement plans, are you referencing the school improvement plans?
District and school, comprehensive.
Okay, I just want to make sure. And on another point of clarification, what is the outcome of a yes vote and what is the outcome of a no vote, I guess?
The outcome of a yes vote is to give us direction in addressing some of these issues from a measurement perspective. We have, and I'll get into this in my comments, but we have aligned measures, progress measures in a number of areas, but not explicitly in the area of safety.
So I guess my follow-up question to that is, basically it talks about the plans are appropriate and sufficient for the superintendent to restore a safe environment in schools. So a yes vote is the plans are sufficient, or the yes vote is they aren't sufficient?
Correct.
Correct.
I'm sorry.
Correct to which one? That's my question.
Someone out there is saying, I understand that. A yes vote says they are sufficient. A no vote says they are not sufficient.
And then my next point of clarification, now that I understand that, is what happens with the no vote? I guess so if we say that our plan, our strategic plan, and district level and school improvement plans aren't appropriate and sufficient, if the board votes no on this and says they aren't, what happens then? Because all those plans are now squashed.
Well, then we would, as a board, be required to look at what we can do to augment those plans to make them sufficient with regard to issues of safety in the district.
Okay. That concludes my points of clarification. It's his resolution, so I'm going to let him speak to it, unless you have a question. Is it germane to the resolution, like specifically? Okay. Ms. Flores.
in order to be able to discuss this further, I really would like to have a clear understanding of school improvement plans, how they are designed, and what by law we are required to put into them in order to have them be acceptable in the means. I am not an educator, as many of the other people on this board are not. So it would not be prudent for me to make a determination of what belongs in a school improvement plan and what does not, when I am not familiar with that in the first place.
So I'm going to let Mr. Bonagorio speak since it's his resolution. He can speak first, and then we'll open it up to the rest of the board for comments, questions, concerns.
The necessity of understanding the issues that are confronting our district make it essential that we do have a broad understanding of all that constitutes the direction for our district. So this merely opens up the conversation for us to be informed in our responsibility for providing a safe school environment. So I think we can gather the information of what is relevant to the inclusion, to be included in improvement plans. Part of it is potentially, I believe, is included in behavioral issues, including code of conduct and how they're applied. So I think it's relevant, and we can learn together along the way.
And just as a point of clarity, since this is going to be a roll call vote, is part of this, part of your questions or comments, if you want to explain your vote at that time, you can. Does anybody else have any questions, comments, concerns?
I need you to read it again, because I'm really confused on what we're voting on.
Okay, be it resolved that the Greece Central Board of Education, by roll call vote this evening, declare whether or not the strategic plan and the improvement plans, both school and district level plans, are appropriate and sufficient for the superintendent to restore a safe environment in our schools. Mr. Butler.
So we've certainly had the opportunity to see school improvement plans, district improvement plans at different points in time. Being that this was not something I was aware was going to come up tonight, I haven't done any kind of a review of those, haven't heard anything from the district about the staff's impression, being the experts in the buildings every day, of whether these plans are sufficient to give the district the tools that they need. So I don't know if it's appropriate for me to ask one of my board colleagues a question, but I guess I would ask the bringer of the motion if that comprehensive review of the district improvement plans and the school improvement plans, if you've done that and found it lacking, which is why you've brought this motion tonight.
I have done some review of the strategic plan and the improvement plans, not in a exhaustive way, but I think it is apparent that there are significant issues, and we should be able to look at those and ask the questions. Have we given our superintendent sufficient resources and direction to make sure that all of those things align with providing a safe environment for our staff and our students? And in that regard, if we have not, then it's our responsibility as a school board to make sure that we have. And if we have, then we have a different question to ask, and that's, what do we do now? Because we clearly have an environment that is, we heard from one of our speakers tonight, it's alarming for many students and for their families. So I think this is a timely question to ask.
I have never been to school board.
Yeah, ma'am, you can't speak. I'm sorry. I can't let you speak. We have a process. I'm sorry, but you can speak in the public comment portion. If you'd like to sign up for June's meeting, speak. That's fine. This is a board level discussion. Nope, you're fine. You're fine. It's just a point of clarification, but that's how it goes. Thank you. Yep, thank you. Ms. Farmer.
Mark, I hear you. I just don't feel prepared to be able to vote on something like that right now. And I'm wondering if you would be willing to withdraw until our next meeting, so we would have time to review, even on a surface level, like you said you have done, to give us the opportunity to look at all this, so that's a lot of paperwork, and I feel that, and I'm familiar with SIP plans and those kinds of things as an educator, but I'm not prepared. And I'm wondering if you would be willing to put this off for a couple of weeks.
My concern, may I mull that a moment? Well,
I mean, yeah, you could respond, or you could wait, and I could keep going around the table.
Sure.
All right, because since she called you, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to respond. Ms. Farah?
I am agreeing to this. We have seen and heard from many parents and students about too many fights in our classrooms, our halls, and our buses. Our teachers, administrators, our staff, students are leaving because we, the board, hire the superintendent, and we are approved the strategic plan and the improvement plan. We, not just the superintendent, are being held responsible for this environment. While the board does not manage district operations, we do provide local governance oversight, a direction by our approval of these guiding documents and policies. For example, the school book law handbook notes the following. Generally, school boards are responsible for the administration, instruction, discipline, and grading, employment and management of necessary professionals and support staff, and 4, maintaining and ensuring school buildings, properties, equipment, and supplies. That is in section 1709. Also consistent with law, school boards also have the authority and the duty to adopt whatever policies, rules, and bylaws that deem will be best for their statutory responsibilities and secure the best educational results for the students in their charge, including rules and regulations concerning to the order and discipline of the schools. So I do approve. Go ahead.
I'm just going to make a point of clarification. In a year-over-year drop, to say fighting has increased, it's actually dropped 43.8% across the district in the last year. So from the third quarter last year till the end of the third quarter this year, it's dropped 43. So to say it's increased isn't factual. That's not based on any facts that are out there. Any other questions or comments?
May I make a comment regarding that statement?
It's a fact. I mean, I guess you can
Well,
make a statement.
Yes, there are facts and statistics, and we have a lot of statistics. And as I mentioned at a prior meeting, sometimes when you see visibly the extent of issues that are taking place, maybe statistically the numbers have come down, but measured by the reactions of parents who are very concerned with the safety of their children, it's not a mere statistical measure. It's like I said before, it's like seeing a boot on the throat of George Floyd. It changes the perspective dramatically.
Dr. Trawick?
Yeah. So, first of all, I don't understand the resolution. I don't understand, what you're suggesting. First, I think that definitely we need to have a conversation. We have parents that came in the room, and I respect each and every one of you that came to say that your feelings about what's happening in the school. As a community, we all see what's happening. The resolution, I'm not sure what you're asking for. Are you asking for a conversation to have with parents about the safety of the schools? Because that's different than, let's look at the strategic plan, see if we have the resources. Is the superintendent doing her part? First, we need to have the conversation about what's happening, and parents have said they want to be a part of the conversation. So that is where we need to move to versus this, because what you're asking for, it does require for us to do our due diligence. We each need to open up the strategic plan, as you have had an opportunity to do, and review it, and to be able to then move and say, okay, based on the strategic plan, but we're not talking about the strategic plan here. We're talking about our kids and our safety, and where I think the George Floyd analysis was a little extreme. I do think that our situation is dire right now. I think parents, every day students and parents are, nervous about sending their kids to school, and you can just say that. We don't have to sugarcoat the language or try to stroke a thread that doesn't need to be here. But let's clarify what we want to do. The superintendent having resources and the strategic plan, it's going to prolong it. Because you have to table it. We can't make a decision. That's not us doing our due diligence. So if you force us to do it tonight, you're going to get a bunch of people that say no because we haven't had an opportunity to look at what you've looked at. Our due diligence is to put this before us as a board of collectives and say, I'm bringing this motion. I would like you all as colleagues to read this forward so you can make an informed choice in front of the public instead of surprise, now we need to make a decision. That's not fair to us, and I don't appreciate it. And you have the public here that's making that they want to know that we care, but if we vote no, it's going to look like, oh, we're not concerned about people's safety, when all we really need to do is have a conversation. This is uncalled for. So I proceed, but that's my comment.
Ms. Flores.
And I'm willing to meet and talk to anybody about what's going on in our schools, by the way. Let me put that out there. I'll be right here after the meeting.
Mrs. Flores.
I don't do email, I do talk
Okay.
right here.
It's Ms. Flores has the floor.
I feel like we're doing a disservice to those in this district who have years and years and years of educational experience that do understand what goes into a school improvement plan and what goes into a strategic plan. The strategic plan isn't just haphazardly put together by a few people on our administration who think that it's a good idea. It is put together by a rather large committee of all types of stakeholders that get involved, including parents. I agree with Sharita in the fact that, yes, this district has a ton of challenges right now. This board's role is for oversight. In order for us to be able to look at anything, we also rely heavily on those people in this district who willingly show up to this district every day to teach and support our children. I hear Ms. Farah say that all sorts of people are walking out the door. I'm not seeing that. People do have the choice to walk out the door, and there is some that do want to do that. But if we had a mass exodus...
Stop. I can't have you making comments. I can't. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. This is the board. It's a board-level discussion. I'm sorry, but there's a process to communicate, and calling out from the audience isn't the way to do it. I'm sorry, but I am going to keep it calm in here. I understand your passion. I understand your concerns. Nobody's debating that with you. But this is a board-level discussion that we're trying to have to make a decision on this resolution. And comments from the audience don't help the situation. So if you have another outburst, I'm going to have to ask you to leave, okay? I mean, I'd like you to be able to stay. And if you want to have a conversation afterwards, I'd be happy to. But I can't have any more outbursts. The next person that there's an outburst from will be leaving. So this is the last warning. You'll be gone. All right. Sorry, Mrs. Flores. Go ahead.
Thank you. I just would like to be able to acknowledge those people who work really hard for this district and show up here to support our kids. As an oversight position, I don't have enough information to be able to understand by law what belongs in a school improvement plan. We would need to be able to review that and be able to come to the board with more information. I don't think anybody would want any of us to make a decision without properly vetting all sides of a situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Flores. Mrs. Farmer.
Yes, and I agree with this understanding that we need to have before we can vote. And I appreciate what you said, Sharita, regarding the parent meeting that we have been emailed about, which would give us some, I guess, on the, real the opportunity for all of us to be able to hear together what it is that you and I just spoke about the other day. I think that's important. I also think it's important that I need to be able to look at these plans because I can't vote on something that I am unfamiliar with. It's just not ethical. So at this point, I would have to agree. I would have to vote no or yes, whichever one that is. But at this point, I would need time to be able to look at this and take it forward. I'd like to hear from more parents. And we're talking about our superintendent signed a letter saying in partnership. So let's do this in partnership. Let's come together and figure out what we're looking at. And then us as the board can dig a little deeper. So that's where I'm at as far as not being prepared tonight.
Ms. Farah?
I would just like to point out, as far as being prepared, and I get the concept about that, but I've been on the board for 2 years. The school improvement plans, the district improvement plans, we've had them, we've gone through them, so we should already be knowledgeable of what we are already asking for, so I just want to leave that there.
Any other comments? Mr. Bongorio?
To the remarks that this has come as a surprise or something like that, I would simply remind the board that I have been bringing concerns regarding behavior and requests for information for us to better understand this is our responsibility for oversight. And we need to have those resources and that information available to us to perform that responsibility. To say it's a surprise, no, it's not. It's not a surprise. Some of us have been very concerned about the safety of our kids. I'm sure all of us have been concerned about the safety of our kids. I don't deny that. But at some point, we have to move beyond saying everything's going to be all right, the experts have it, our job is oversight. And what I have seen in 2 very dramatic incidences in just the past several months, and then the events that we saw last week, the things going on at Olympia, it is way beyond time for us to say that we're not ready to do something. We need to do something. And it's incumbent upon the board to not keep putting it off and say, well, maybe I'll read the strategic plan someday. The strategic plan has 3 commitments. There are 6 aligned progress measures for each commitment. Not one of them deals explicitly with ensuring and maintaining a safe school environment. Now, you can go back and study that if you want. I think it's pretty obvious.
Ms. Farmer?
Yes, I totally hear you, Mark. Again, I want to say that I hear you, but I also would like to say that since you knew that you were bringing this to the board tonight, as well as Megan knew that it was coming to the board, you had an opportunity that the rest of us did not have. It's not to push off any kind of work that needs to be done, because I agree. I also would like to comment about a conversation that I had with an administrator recently who used to work at an elementary school, and it seemed as if that school was out of control. And then when they went through all the data, out of 800, 900 kids, there were 8 kids that continued to be the repeaters. So those are some more, that's more information that I need to have before I can carte blanche move forward with something like this. I cannot, in good faith, due diligence, ethics, whatever words you want to use, vote on something that I have no idea what I'm voting on. And I'm sorry, I don't.
Dr. Harewick, then I'll come to you, Mark, and then I got some comments.
So some of you may not know this, but outside of my work as a school board member, I work with the Rochester Police Department and also the Greece Police Department. There was a shooting that just happened on Britton Road where two people were critically shot. So in my role in that position and working against gun violence, I sit at tables where we have these police officers and police chiefs. And one of the things that has come about from that, what we realized after years of doing this work, is it takes the whole community. And so one of the reasons why I am asking for us to have the conversation with the parents, that's where I'm pushing, is because we can revise the strategic plan, but when kids are ready to fight, or it comes off campus, or there's a bullet involved, or it goes down to, say, a burned dairy, the strategic plan isn't going to stop them. It's going to be the community being involved and working together. So where some might think I don't know what I'm talking about, I've been steeped in this work. I do this work. I eat, sleep, and dream this work. We need the community to come together. It's not about a piece of paper. We can have every document in the book, but we have to come together as a community. That shooting on Britton Road stemmed from what happened in our schools with our kids. So that is the conversation I would like to move to. I don't want to do a tit for tat going back and forth. You know, this is volunteer. Our families are home, but we're here because we want to make a difference and help bring this issue to a head. So tonight, if the vote goes forward, I am going to vote no on a strategic plan and yes on a strategic meeting. Any community member, any parent that wants to sit, board hat or community leader hat, whatever it is that I need to wear, I want to engage you because it's leaving our campuses, and it's not just our kids. What about the parents that are coming to fight? What are we going to throw the strategic plan at them? It won't cover them. This is for kids, the strategic plan, and our staff members. The problem is much bigger, so we need to talk so we can understand the depth of it. It's not tied to a document.
Mr. Bongorio.
I 100% support that meeting, that kind of meeting with parents who've requested it. A problem that arises, and Mrs. Farmer understands this, in the past, I was a concerned parent who kept coming to the board. Mrs. Farmer and Mrs. Flores, Mr. Maloney participated in conversations with concerned parents. It wasn't a board conversation. It couldn't be a board conversation. We need a board conversation. So there has to be a way to change this dynamic, or else we're very limited. I respect your concern on this. And the reason I bring up the strategic plan and our school improvement plans is because these are the documents, these are the instruments by which the board affects policy, including direct writing of policy. So we have constraints on how we can act. In our role as oversight, the strategic plan has identified 18 aligned progress measures that it uses to measure how we're achieving various goals, including achievement goals, including equity goals, a variety of goals. We don't have one that addresses the very significant and critical issue of safety in our schools. Safety, if our kids go to schools that they don't feel safe in, if they don't even feel safe going to the bathroom, how is that a healthy learning environment for them? So we need to address these things. I'll amend my proposal and ask the question, is the strategic plan alone sufficient in its aligned progress measures? Is it sufficient to meet that goal? That is a critical measure for being accountable as a board to try to achieve that goal. If we don't have a measure, we have no means of ascertaining that. So if I can amend that, and if that will help drive the discussion forward, I would do that.
Okay, and then I have a question for you, but since you're amending, so you're gonna amend your resolution to drop out to improvement plans, just gonna be the strategic plan? Is that, do I understand that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, so we have an amendment to drop improvement plans out of the resolution. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Farah. Any comments or questions on the amendment?
So can we speak to the amendment?
Just on the amendment,
Yes.
removing improvement plans.
So it sounds like the same thing, the same problem. I don't have the necessary information, and I have to agree, I agree with the parents who are calling for a meeting.
Okay, I'm gonna have to.
Oh, sorry.
Stop you, because
Okay.
you're starting to
Yeah.
drift way off of where we are. So any other comments or questions on the removal, the amendment to remove improvement plans? Seeing none, all those in favor of the amendment? All those opposed? So the amendment fails, we're back to the original motion. Improvement plans are still in, so we're on the main motion, back to that, and I have a question to my colleague, Mr. Bonagorio. I mean, obviously, you have ideas of what we need to have that currently we don't have in our school improvement plans and the strategic plan. There's obviously things that you think need to be there. Could you enlighten the rest of us of what you're thinking?
One significant issue that Mrs. Farmer addressed a few minutes ago is, I believe this to be very accurate. I'm not certain about it because I don't think we, as a whole, have access to the information. But I do expect that we would find, if we were able to dig into the data, that we would find a relatively small number of students who create an awful lot of chaos. And there may be issues surrounding policy and how we address those students. We have students, we know, who have in excess of 30 office disciplinary referrals. We don't know what it looks like when you dig down inside those because we don't get to see that. So there, as a board, I think we need to have a much better understanding of what goes on so that we can more effectively formulate policy that will maybe provide new tools, maybe provide a different perspective. But right now, we're just looking at that statistical data. And how broad is it? How deep is it? Where are the issues really? I don't think we as a board have that information. And frankly, I've been asking for that kind of information for 2 years. I want to move beyond just this struggle.
So from a timeline perspective, if the board supported your resolution tonight, what do you see happening moving forward, I guess is my question.
If the board supports this resolution, the board is acknowledging that, yes, we have a deficiency that we need to deal with. And then the board will be obligated to begin to investigate all of these issues in a more comprehensive and detailed way. At least I hope in good faith that that's what the board would do.
And I guess as a follow-up to that, we have an election in 2 weeks. So do we start this before July, or would it start immediately?
Whenever the board would like to do that. I think we need to move beyond just the
Well, you could have a
constantly
whole different
recurring
board
issues.
makeup. I mean, is what, the point I'm
Yeah.
trying to make is it could be significantly different in 2 weeks. I mean, and not till July will it take effect, but I would hate to see the current board invest time and effort and you potentially have 3 new people or 3 people change your minds, whatever, and it's a different scenario at the end of the day. So I was just curious on timelines, what you were thinking on timelines. But
Despite what some people may like to think, the idea is for us to work together. So I'm happy to work with, as a whole board, towards finding some means of addressing these issues. But not addressing them, not even acknowledging that there's a problem as a board, and our responsibility to lead in a resolution of that is not addressing it.
Oh, all right. Yeah, you can go. And then I'll go, I guess.
I'm still very confused. Are you saying we should form a subcommittee of the board? Are you saying I don't know, I still don't really know what you want us to vote on.
The issue before the board today is have we adequately identified, have we adequately constituted our strategic plan with measures that help us to move forward towards achieving this type of goal? We have measures for literacy achievement, for math achievement, for equity achievement, but we don't have anything for this issue, and it's a big issue.
All right.
I have a question.
Sure.
So, how can we have a meeting, to Mr. Bonagorio's point, when we have dialogue with the community, we can't have more than a certain amount of board members there without it constituting a board meeting, correct?
Correct.
How can we get around that?
You can't, it's the law.
Okay. Well, I mean, so, okay,
That's the
so
law.
we all can't be there.
Correct.
But there's got to be does it look like 2 sessions? Where we have one group session? I'm just trying to brainstorm how.
And really, this isn't germane to the resolution, though. I guess I'm
Okay.
gonna cut you off there. I mean, that's a discussion point, I guess, to have, but it's really not germane to the resolution at this point.
Okay, so I'll withdraw that, but when can does that a discussion point for a future meeting? Do I add it to the agenda?
Yep, we can add it to the
Okay.
agenda, we can have a conversation regarding such.
Couldn't we just have a board meeting where this was the topic?
You could, but it's a meeting of the Board of Education.
Sure, so I understand that, but as we continue to meet with parents, and maybe all the parents could sign up and say what you needed to say, and then we could have this discussion focused on that one particular topic, and table this, give us more time I need more time to look at this. I don't know if there aren't measures in there that relate to violence, and I think we do care what's happening in our schools. I mean, my God.
Absolutely.
That's awful. But at the same time, I'm asking that it be tabled. We explore other ways of going through this. And I don't mean, a year from now. I think we can look at this, and in the next couple of weeks, we can figure out what it is exactly that we can do that makes sense to all of us, including the community.
I want to make one point, that there is a quarterly report that is provided and has been provided for years that includes all code of conduct information. So to say that we do not measure and that it is not looked at is absolutely not true. I would say that what you get as a board is far, far greater than Monroe County, New York State, most in the country, in terms of a breakdown of infractions, suspensions, long-term suspensions, attendance data, case studies of kids who have had multiple referrals. So whether that is what you like, whether you've looked at it, studied it, whether you agree with what's happened with it, you get it. It is provided, and it has been provided.
Thank you, Superintendent.
And it's what we use to develop plans as a team.
Thank you, Superintendent Krautman. I have a couple comments. I mean, I've asked a bunch of questions, clarifying questions. Now I want to make my comments. As a Board of Education, we adopted the strategic plan. We get regular updates on the strategic plan, and at any point along the way, we can address the strategic plan, ask questions, think about things to go in the strategic plan. This tonight, to throw the strategic plan and our improvement plans out as a district and basically have no direction moving forward until the Board of Education figures something out, I think is a horrible decision. I think it is probably I mean, almost a negligence of our responsibility and duty as board members to this community to throw that out. Does everybody like everything in the strategic plan? Obviously not from what I hear around the table. But at the end of the day, it's our strategic plan that I'm almost 100% certain, I don't know, I guess Debbie might have to clarify, that this board adopted unanimously. We've adopted the improvement plans. We've adopted, board members are participants in every significant committee that impacts our schools, whether it's a code of conduct, whether it's curriculum, whether it's safety. Our board members are involved in everything. So you're in it at the ground level, with parents, with staff members, with everybody. Everybody has people to talk to them. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I do take offense to this resolution in the sense that we're restoring our schools to be safe. Our schools are safe. Are there issues in our schools? 100%. But you look at those issues that have happened, it could have happened in any building. Our safety and security teams do an amazing job. Our administrators, our teachers, all our staff in our buildings are doing a great job day in, day out. Is there a problem? Yeah, I think Dr. Trawick hit on it. It's a societal problem. 5 kids this morning in the city of Rochester, 17, 2 15-year-olds, a 14-year-old and a 12-year-old, 5 kids. 4 o'clock this morning, we're in a stolen car, hit a police officer, and crashed into 2 houses. And then the 17-year-old resisted arrest. So what's that tell you? Is that a school district problem? Is that a city of Rochester school district problem? If that was one of our students, is it a Greece Central problem? It's a societal problem. And I mean, there's so much we can do in the school, but when things are happening outside school, we can't control every aspect of that. And I think that's important to know. We can control what we're doing in our buildings. Can we be better? Are there things we're getting better at? Yeah. We have a whole list of things we've done. I mean, I have a whole list of things from the burn dairy, the consequences the students had, the disciplines they had, the interventions that were offered, the response to the recent violence we've done at Olympia. I mean, it's not like this is we're gonna let it go and do nothing. It's been a comprehensive initiative. I mean, I know the entire cabinet was here every night, the principals last week, late into the nights, working on what was going on in our district. So to throw this out, the years of work and investment from all the employees in the district, I think it's negligent in our duty as board members to throw this out. I mean, if we want to have a discussion, we want to set up a meeting, and whatever that meeting looks like, we can talk about and, you know, relook at maybe some things or talk to the superintendent and cabinet about certain things maybe we want to see in the strategic plan. Absolutely. But again, all I hear is we want to throw it out, but there's no idea what we're going to do. So tomorrow we're like, okay, now we have no strategic plan and we're at base 0, and 9 clowns on the Board of Education are going to figure it out. Good luck. You know, I mean, so I think at the end of the day, I'm a no vote on this. I'm not in favor of tabling it. I'm more than happy to talk about it another time. And with that, I'm going to finish up, and we're going to get into our roll call vote. So I'm going to start with Dr. Trawick.
Wait.
What?
What are we voting on, yes or no?
It's yes or no. If you want to throw the strategic plan out, you vote yes.
Point of order, Mr. President?
Sure.
The resolution does not suggest throwing out the strategic plan. It is a resolution asking, is the strategic plan sufficient with regard to safety? It does not throw out the strategic
But
plan.
if
So
we
that's a falsehood.
It's not a falsehood. If you vote no, the strategic plan's not on the table anymore.
No,
It says right here, it's not sufficient. So the strategic plan isn't in place.
Is
So
it-
don't tell me it's a red herring, Mark. You throw red herrings all the time. So come on, dude, really?
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 Yeah, really.
Does our strategic plan adequately address safety is the question. Nothing more.
Okay, so we're gonna vote, and we'll see
Okay,
what happens.
Good.
Dr. Trawick.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, may I be clear on the resolution, because we voted for the strategic plan and the school improvement plans. So they are both in this resolution.
They are both in this resolution, correct, the amendment failed.
I say God bless all these poor kids.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Dr. Trawick?
I forgot. Wait. What are we voting on?
Yes, is the strategic plan is sufficient and appropriate? No, it's not.
I'm voting yes.
And the
I'm
school
voting no, you're voting yes.
Okay, thank you for that.
So,
Yes.
No.
Ms. Flores?
Yes.
Ms. Farmer?
Yes, but I want to add something to that.
Nope.
Oh, I thought roll call meant you could talk.
That was prior to this. Now we're
Okay,
voting,
yes.
so. Ms. Farrer?
No.
Mr. Maloney?
Yes.
Mr. Butler?
Yes.
Vice President Moore?
Yes.
President McCabe's yes. Motion fails. The strategic plan is good. Moving on. Chairperson for the annual vote. Can I have somebody move that to the table, please? Moved by Mrs. Farmer, seconded by Mrs. Flores. Comments, questions, or concerns on that? Seeing none, all is in favor. That passes 9-0. Moving on to election inspector approval. Can I have somebody move that to the table, please? Moved by Vice President Laura, second by Mr. Maloney. Comments, questions, concerns on that? Seeing none, all is in favor. That passes 9-0. Moving on to board member comments. We've had a lot of comments, so I'm sure there's probably some more, so who wants to go? Mrs. Farmer, you're up.
So this is Teacher Appreciation Week. I was invited to Athena today, and it was wonderful. The PTSA had lovely spread food for the teachers. And this morning I read an article about what teachers want to be appreciated for. And one of the things that it said in the article was that they wanted to have some kind of leadership role, and that could look like facilitating a PLC, a professional learning community. And I had the opportunity to see that today in real time. Teachers, I think there must have been between 10 and 12 teachers who were facilitating, and people went through different, one of them was on, I'm not going to even go there, but basically what I'd like to say is I'm glad that this district has given teachers the opportunity for leadership roles that don't mean you need to leave the classroom. Because classroom teachers are the people who keep this district together. I think we have had such wonderful, wonderful testimony from our students who come and to our board meetings, whether it's to speak or to perform or whatever that looks like. So I just want to say happy Teacher Appreciation Week, and we appreciate you.
Go ahead. Mr. Butler.
I thought I was going to have a chance to make a comment in connection to my vote, so I'm going to do that now. I'm certain, I guess I shouldn't say I'm certain, I'm guessing that this vote will be positioned by some as there were some who are concerned about safety in our schools and some who aren't concerned about safety in our schools. And what we had to vote on was a motion that was before us, which was to say that the strategic plan and our school improvement plans, which are many volumes of information, are insufficient, give the superintendent insufficient tools to deal with safety issues in our school that I can assure you all of us are quite concerned about. That was what we had to vote on. We didn't have the opportunity to vote on, are you concerned about safety issues in our schools? Do you think we should be looking more closely at safety issues in our schools? Do you think that there might be ways that things could be done better to create a more safe environment, learning environment for our students in our schools? Because I'm pretty sure the vote would have been different if that's what we had been asked to vote on, but it wasn't what we were asked to vote on. So I just want to make it clear that we had no choice but to vote for or against the motion that was in front of us. And as a board member, I don't think any community member, as a recent only community member, only a recent board member, I would not want anybody to vote yes or no for something that they hadn't done their homework on. And I think the opportunity to do our homework on something as consequential as that is important, and not to kick it down the road and never talk about it and just delay. That's not what any of this is about. So that's a point I wanted to make related to my vote. I wanted to highlight, changing the topic, I wanted to highlight on the website, we've got one of the most important things that we do as a board is approve a budget every year, and it's something that the community has the opportunity to have a voice on. And on the school district website, you'll find the budget book, which I never spent a whole lot of time looking at budget books before I started to run for the school board. And I think it's actually, they do a really good job with pie charts and things like that to help explain where the money is going. And so I would encourage folks to spend some time looking at that so that you can be an educated voter. There's so many concerts and performances coming up. That's all happening at a peak right now. Those of you with kids in the district know that really well because you're eating dinner on the fly every night in order to be able to make it to those kinds of things. So I would encourage all of us who maybe don't have kids performing in those things anymore to try to make time to turn out and support kids in our districts, and I'm looking forward to doing that. This is Teacher Appreciation Week. My comment on that, we've got 1,000 teachers in this district who are amazing professionals doing God's work every day to support these kids. And I have a quick personal story that I want to share on that. So I had 3 kids go through I went through the Greece schools. I had 3 kids go through the Greece schools. My youngest, who is about to graduate from college this coming weekend, which we're very excited about, as you can imagine, and be commissioned as a second lieutenant in the United States Army at the same time. She would not be there if it weren't for a teacher in the Greece schools. Some teacher who never got the opportunity to be thanked by her because she didn't know, nominated her for an experience with the Marine Corps during the summer between her sophomore and junior year. She went and did that, and it totally changed the trajectory of her life. She wouldn't, without Mr. Frieza promoting the Army scholarship, she would not have applied for it. Without him helping her get ready for the PT test, she assures you she would not have passed it. So it has totally changed the trajectory of her life, and our community is getting a servant in the military, our country is getting a servant in the military as a result of it. So that's teacher appreciation for me.
Thank you, Mr. Butler, and thank your daughter for her service. Any other board member comments? Dr. Shawick?
So I just wanted to say that I had the opportunity to go over, I keep talking about it, all our schools are great. Long Ridge Elementary being one of the schools where I'm the liaison, and I was just so impressed over there. Every time I go to a school, they impress me with what's going on. But particularly, the students just walking through the hall, so friendly and so open to tell you about their school and to show you their artwork. The other thing was we talked about their parent engagement and how they have gone from seeing maybe 20 to 30 parents attending their events to the last event that they had over 400 parents and community members, and they did a glow up Long Ridge with glow sticks and all this glowy stuff, and but also it was wrapped around academics, this new program that we're rolling out. And I thought, wow, to be able to go from 20 to 400, so I want to see us be able to, multiply that, to duplicate that blueprint, right? How do we get people more involved? The other thing, again, Teacher Appreciation Week, is an awesome time just to say thank you to a teacher or encourage your student to say thank you to a teacher. I was thinking about this the other day. My grandmother taught preschool by day, and she was a bartender by night. So I'm sure wasn't the only one. But this day and age, and I think still back then, she probably would say the same thing if she were here. It truly is a calling. It takes a special person to be a teacher. And as, things are changing in our society, the fact that we do have teachers that show up every day, no matter what that temperament is. Some might show up tired from, things going on in their own life, mental health challenges. But when they get in front of our kids, they stand up and they do what's right for them, and they protect them. And we know that Arcadia had the bomb threat the other day, and I have a very close friend of mine who's a teacher at Arcadia. So, of course, my thought was to call, see if she's okay. And what she said to me was, she's like, I'm fine, but you should have saw our students, how they took care of each other, how the staff just came together. And I don't know what it would feel like to be in that situation, but what I do know is that our staff rose to the occasion. And if we could stop those things from happening, I certainly would do anything in my power to do that. Even having difficult conversations, even, risking future participation in this. But if it saves our children, then it's worth it. And then my last comment is, I don't want to see children get hurt because of politics. We're talking about protecting our children at school, but we also have to remember as adults, we need to be careful of the conversations that we have in front of them. They need to be engaged at an appropriate level. Not every child, so I say that because politics in, our schools, when they come in, it hurts our kids. We just need to do the right thing, whatever is right for them. And our process here, because a comment was made, we send emails. I just have to say this, and I've said it before, but we got a bigger audience this time. You send an email to the board. We are not allowed to respond to you. It's not because we don't want to. It's not because we're not burning inside. But we have a policy. Whether you agree or you don't agree, it is what it is. That we have elected one spokesperson. That's Mr. McCabe. If Mr. McCabe doesn't answer you, then you bring it here and you let it, you go through the process. But that is what we have agreed upon, the 9 of us, is that when you you submit an email to the whole board, that's why one person responds. Now, if other people respond to you, I don't know, they're not supposed to. What we agreed upon is that when people from the community email, and I'm only telling you the rules because knowledge is power. So instead of people walking away like, well, I emailed you and you didn't respond to me, there's a reason why. When you take this oath, you take an oath that you're going to abide by the rules. Now, if we need to change that, you think that sucks, that stinks, then bring that to the board and say, I think you should change your policy on how you correspond. But that is how it works, just like Residents Forum. You might be burning after Residents Forum to say something in this audience, but we have a procedure. You sign up, you speak. You don't sign up, you don't speak. These are just the rules. But they can be changed if you bring the appropriate, you come and you say, I'd like it to be different, then we can look at making it different. But I do want to make that clear because I get that so many times. We emailed the board and no one responded. That's our spokesperson. If he doesn't respond, then we hold him accountable. But we are not able to respond. Those are the rules. Like them or not, they are what they are. But we're always available after these meetings to talk. Football games, grocery stores, it doesn't stop other people. Let me tell you, your colleagues, your peers, they stop us. I don't leave Wegmans without a conversation, Walmart without a conversation. Oh, you're the lady on the school board. I got to talk to you. And we talk. So that's it. I'm done. Okay. All right.
Thank you. Mr. Bonagoro?
Well, I'll also wish a happy Teacher Appreciation Week, day, month. Give it all to them. They do a great job. I've got multiple teachers in my family, and I think they're pretty awesome. I see a couple of my teachers that I'm looking at out in the audience. I want to, one of the speakers tonight mentioned a right-to-read viewing regarding literacy, and I want to thank her for mentioning that and bringing that. Prior to COVID-19, I was a board member for Literacy Rochester. Literacy is not a new thing that I'm excited about or view as being important. So I want to mention that because I want to say specifically thank you to our staff. Dr. Pettifer was at that, participated in it, and gosh, I'm going to ruin Jamie's last name if I try to say it. It's harder than mine. But thank you both, and Julie Parsons was also there. I just want to say thank you for all that you're doing, because this is such a critical issue. And I'll note that we approved a more than $1 million transfer tonight for funding the ARPCOR curriculum. That's a big deal. It's expensive, but if we're implementing this as I see that we're doing, that's going to be well worth and more to spend to educate our kids. So thank you. Thank you to the teachers who are investing a lot in that right now.
Thank you, Mr. Bonagoro. Ms. Flores?
Thank you. I want to echo Mr. Butler's comments today about the fact that we were not prepared to discuss a resolution, and it doesn't mean that we as board members are not concerned about what is going on in this district. I am a parent, and I get to talk to my kids about what's going on in their school every day. And I have the pleasure of being able to come to the board and have a wealth of educators to talk to things about, and I know it's not the same for the community sometimes. So I certainly understand the need to want to discuss that further, but it is never the right thing to do to discuss something without having all of the information about it, and it's improper to do so. So I do support the idea that we very much so want to have a discussion. It's just we need all of the information to do so. So that being said, also very excited about Teacher Appreciation Week. I have the job that I have today, and I work in finance because of a math teacher that I had at Greece Olympia. And my kids, I'm seeing the same in those. My daughter is in 11th grade, and she constantly talks about a 6th grade teacher that she had in Arcadia Middle School. And she drives her to do all sorts of things, which is amazing to me. So the teachers make an impact in so many different ways, and the connections are interesting in the personalities. So kids connect with different types of people, and thankfully we have different types of teachers for that to happen. So I'm so excited about the concerts, the art show at the mall. There is a ton of award ceremonies that are going to be happening for your kids about all of the achievements that they've done this year. Please take the time to attend to them and celebrate the kids and their peers on all of the things that they're doing right and all the things that they're having the opportunity to learn, because we do have people who come to this district to care about that. I also want to take the time to say thank you to Amanda Yoder, who has left, and Mr. Lum about discussing community schools. Community schools, and in Dr. Trawick's comments, in order to address the challenges that we continue to see in our district, we need our entire community. Community schools is an impact that enables us to look at our entire community and not just what happens inside the walls of our school. So I'm really thankful for the continued growth of the community schools program and the things that it does support, and the reach out to the community that it has to bring not only assistance and such for a lot of different things, but awareness of what's going on out there, and awareness of if we don't as a community come together to look at it and talk about it and not just hear one singular voice, but hear a lot of different voices, we're never going to be able to address the issue. So thank you to everybody, and Mr. McCabe.
Thank you, Ms. Flores. Vice President Moore?
Before I get to my list of comments, I want to talk a little bit about fights in school. I don't know if all of you were the fact that I spent my entire career in a high school as a high school teacher, and there are always fights in school. I'm sitting here thinking my husband was a high school teacher. I never got a call from my son, but I got calls from principals. Your husband's been involved in a fight, and he's heading to the trying to break apart fight. So they were always there. And I'm sounding like the old lady when I say we know more about it now because of social media. Besides for the fact some are videotaped, kids all night long are on their phones aggravating each other and building it up till they get to the school. I don't know how we're going to solve that, but we're going to work on it, I promise. Good things. Art show in the mall, fabulous. The best part is when you see a kid find his artwork on the glow on their faces is worth the trip to the mall for that. Community schools did a say yes to the dress and offered opportunities for children to get clothes to wear to prom. I thought it was fabulous, and how the smile on their faces was great. I had the opportunity to go to Lakeshore this week, and the band students wrote a book. And it was put together, and we did a book signing. And there was a picture of their instrument that they drew, and then there was an explanation of their instrument. My favorite was the young man who plays the drum, and I said to him, "Why did you pick the drums?" And he said, "Because I like hitting things." Which made me so happy to know he can take it out on the drum. So that was the highlight of that visit. I want to talk a little bit about flag football. It's brand new in Greece. The phys ed department has worked so hard to coordinate it. I'm in a situation where my granddaughter's in middle school. There's so many girls, she's barely able to play, but it's so nice to see that interest in girls. I'm also very proud to say that when our girls have been playing here, they've been playing in our stadiums on turf field. It's beautiful. Yesterday, I was to a school on the east side, and we were in a backfield, no chairs, the grass was wet, and I took such pride in knowing what we've accomplished here in Greece with our stadium. So thank you to the athletic people, and let's keep flag football going. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Moore. I'm going to be brief. I just want to, it's the end of the year, as things are starting to wind down. Like all my colleagues said, there's so many sporting events, awards assemblies, concerts, proms, especially with proms. I want our students to make good choices around proms and what they do before and after the prom. And as parents or guardians, have conversations with your students so they make good choices. I want to remind everybody, 2 weeks from today will be the annual budget vote. I would encourage everybody to get out to vote that day. It's where you get to choose among 6 board candidates, and you get to decide on the Greece Central School budget. So I encourage everybody to vote that night. I want to say I appreciate the dialogue we had this evening. We had a very good dialogue amongst us. I mean, you know, I think it was good. I think some people made some very valid points. I think, and it was good for the community to see some of the dialogue. I know that's been raised in the past as an issue, and I think it was good that we did have that dialogue this evening. And what else did I have? I think that's it. Superintendent Groutman.
Yeah, I'd like to start just by saying a huge thanks to our teachers. I'm echoing Sean's thoughts right now. I am married to a math teacher, and my daughter is a 3rd grade teacher, so I know firsthand the significant work that our teachers do day in and day out. That includes planning, it includes grading, and it includes phone calls and interacting with parents. It includes sitting on committees that are after school and before school, running clubs, hosting concerts, coaching. There's a million things that our teachers do, but more importantly, they are providing critical content and building strong relationships with kids. No teacher is successful who doesn't build relationships with kids. The people that we remember that have the biggest impact on our lives are those teachers that cared deeply for us, found ways to get us to engage, found ways to get us to work hard, and helped us see what that could do for us. It's interesting to me because I also am on the first hand as a mom and as a wife. And I hear specifically my husband as a math teacher and some of his struggles, not in Greece, but behaviorally, in terms of what he sees and is experiencing as an educator. I see the same thing from my daughter and hear the same stories. We're not alone. This is something that is a struggle, and it's something that I'm very proud because in Greece we've worked really hard to work collaboratively with our teachers' union. We've worked really hard to make sure that we're problem solving, that we're naming issues, that we're confronting issues, and that we're working together. It doesn't mean we're perfect. It doesn't mean we hide things or throw things, sweep it under the rug. We are working together. We are meeting tomorrow is one of our standing meetings. So I just want our teachers in this district to know that we see them, know that we find ways to listen to them. Brian, our union president, and myself go to schools all the time. We sit, we listen. That's our job, so that we can respond, so that we can provide what they need, so that we can listen to how they're interacting and what they're facing day to day. So I just say that with huge thanks and appreciation for all of them. This week has been challenging for our school community, there's no doubt. It's easy to get swept up in the cycle of negativity when you hear about violence in schools and our community. But simply calling out the problem doesn't do anything to resolve it. I've called that through the years admiring the problem. We know violence is clearly a problem. As a district, we've taken action not only to create accountability and consequences, but also to address root causes and the conditions that are leading to the social issues that we're seeing in schools. We have openly acknowledged that we have struggled with violence in our schools. Last year, we referenced the data. Our data was as high as it's ever been in 10 years as being a superintendent. Believe me, I named it last year. We've talked about it over and over again. It's clear. We are struggling to meet the behavioral needs of our student. There's no doubt about that. That is also why we've done things. And this is where I want to be really clear. We have done things. There's not an easy answer to any of this. We've expanded membership and voice on our Code of Conduct Committee. We've added positions to support violence prevention, additional social workers, counselors, teachers on special assignments. We've provided extensive training and professional development for all staff. We've hosted many, many events for parents. 3 parent exchanges at every school. You know what a parent exchange is? It's an event by parents for parents. So when parents are concerned about violence or reading or anything, they can be part of that. Mr. Stenzel hosted one. They're not determined by me. They're not determined by administrators. They're determined by parents. There's also PTA, and there's also many, many other committees that we have encouraged people to be part of so that we can hear voice. We've implemented programs like Leader and Me, programs like our social emotional learning block to help teach and encourage pro-social behavior. Win It Social is a specific program that is getting at social media and the use of kids in technology and the dangers that exist there and how to use social media responsibly. We've hosted dozens and dozens of mediations with kids, mediation with parents, to prevent conflicts, and also to address conflicts after they've happened. We've engaged in many, many parent meetings. We've created behavior contracts with individual students, with groups of students. We've also short and long-term suspended many students. Kids don't participate in this district in violence and not have a consequence. That's just not true. We've also publicly presented at board meetings for the last 2 years about many of these programs and many of the data that we're talking about. Our administrative team is working incredibly hard, and they are doing things. Our assistant principals, our directors, our assistant superintendents have never worked harder than they ever have. So to say that we've done nothing is just simply not true. Having said all of that, many of the issues we're dealing with begin outside of school, and they can't be solved by schools alone. As I've mentioned, in some instances, parents are promoting, encouraging, and participating in fights. In others, community members are using social media to discredit public schools. Many have gone to Facebook for their primary source of information and news. Many of these sites don't vet information and may even contain partial truths and outright lies. These sites contain inflammatory, harmful, and even threatening posts and comments only intended to divide and hurt people in our community. The fact that adults are circulating a violent video that re-traumatizes a victim supports a culture of violence and makes absolutely no sense to me. A video that was from February. These adult behaviors are in direct conflict with what we are trying to teach our students. Things like the importance of vetting sources, thinking critically, respecting difference, building understanding, and adopting solution-focused mindsets. I've served as a superintendent in Greece for nearly a decade and in public education for over 30 years. I care deeply for this community, for Greece, and I've devoted a good portion of my life to helping kids and families. As a community, it's our job to make it a safe space for everyone. We're not shirking that responsibility, but we also must do this together, and we must get help, not just from people in schools. We need all of you. We need our community, we need parents, we need everyone helping us to model kindness, respect, and empathy. We need people to assume good intentions. We need people to pause before they post and share and like. We need people, if they hear something that's concerning, to check the information, to email the teacher, to call the assistant principal, to find out the truth, to actually work together to solve the problem. We need all of you, including parents and students and teachers, to help with sharing ideas and solutions. I'm not saying that we've got it right, but I'll tell you, we haven't stopped trying. We haven't stopped adding. We haven't stopped doing things. Help us by making a commitment to work together. Help us by making sure that we are not alone. I would also add that in times like this, roles get fuzzy. When things go bad and when violence occurs, everyone wants to do something. And I can assure you that I, as a superintendent, know that there are a lot of things on my plate to do. I know our administrative team has a lot to do. I know our teachers have a lot to do, and our board does as well. But I'll tell you, none of these board members are going to be standing in a high school, distributing a detention or suspending a kid. And they're also not going to be hosting a mediation. Our board is for oversight. They are intended to oversee policy and to have impact and to hold us accountable. But they're not going to be the ones that are going to be able to do some of the things that I think people think. So I just ask you to consider, what's your role? How do we make sure that we hear and share information? And how do we work together as a community to address this? Because it's not just a school issue. This is a community issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Grauman.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Maloney. Is there a second? Mrs. Farmer, all those in favor? That passes 9-0. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. See you in a couple weeks.